Starlight L, a science fiction sleep story presented by Bedtime Stories. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath. And now, let the story begin. The soft hum of the Odyssey was Elara's oldest lullaby. It was a sound as constant and reassuring as her own heartbeat, a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated through the very floor, beneath her bare feet, and up into the bones of the colossal generational ship. Tonight, it felt particularly gentle, a whisper against the vast silent canvas of space. Elara, a wisp of a girl with hair, the color of polished moonrock and eyes that held the deep, reflective hue of a nebula, was tucked into her sleep cocoon. The cocoon wasn't a static bed. It was a marvel of adaptive sleep technology, conforming to her every curve, gently warming or cooling as her body desired. Its transparent canopy, usually displaying a cheerful simulated forest canopy, was currently dark, awaiting its nightly command. "Lumi," she whispered, her voice a sleepy murmur. "Activate." From the small polished pedestal beside her cocoon, a sphere no bigger than her fist pulsed with a gentle, internal light. It wasn't a harsh artificial glow, but a soft warm luminescence, like captured starlight. This was Lumi, her oldest friend, and the keeper of the galaxy. "Good evening, Elara." Lumi's voice was a soothing symphony of synthesized tones, rich with the warmth of 1,000 hearths and the coolness of distant nebulae. "Are we ready for tonight's journey?" Elara giggled, a tiny, joyful sound that echoed faintly in the quiet room. "Yes, Lumi. The usual, please." With a soft whir, Lumi rose from its pedestal, hovering gracefully in the center of Elara's sleep chamber. The walls of her room, usually a comforting, neutral gray, began to ripple and shift, not physically, but through the magic of advanced light projection. They melted away, replaced by the profound inky blackness of deep space. Then, Lumi began its artistry. Tiny pinpricks of light exploded into being, growing, shrinking, coalescing into familiar constellations. Nebulae bloomed in vibrant hues of purple and green, swirling like cosmic paint on an invisible canvas. Comets streaked across the ceiling, leaving trails of ethereal dust. It was more than a projection. It was an immersion, wrapping Elara in the breathtaking grandeur of the universe. "Tonight," Lumi's voice resonated, filling the simulated void. "We visit the Lyra system, home of the Ring Nebula and the legendary star, Vega." Elara watched, enchanted, as the familiar patterns of Lyra took shape above her. She'd seen this projection countless times, yet it never failed to fill her with a profound sense of wonder. Her entire life, all 10 years of it, had been spent aboard the Odyssey, a metal shell hurtling through this very darkness. She had never set foot on a planet, never felt natural wind on her face, but through Lumi she had touched 1,000,000 stars. "But not just Vega tonight, Lumi." Elara yawned, stretching her small arms above her head. "Show me Yeti, the one." Lumi paused, a single brilliant star shimmering brighter than the rest. Then, with a subtle shift in its projection, a new constellation began to form. It wasn't one recognized by any astronomical chart, nor was it a natural grouping of stars. Instead, a series of stars, carefully selected and manipulated by Lumi, began to draw a distinct, elegant curve. Then another, and another, until a perfect flowing capital glittered in the cosmic tapestry above Elara. This was the Starlight L. It was Elara's secret constellation, a bedtime story crafted just for her. Her parents, busy with their vital work, maintaining the Odyssey's delicate ecosystems and propulsion systems, had given Lumi to her when she was a toddler. They had programmed it with a library of stories, lullabies, and star charts. But Lumi, being more than just a simple projector, had developed a personality, a gentle creativity that blossomed in Elara's company. The Starlight L was its masterpiece, a symbol of their unique bond. "The Starlight L," Lumi intoned, the words imbued with a special reverence. "A beacon of dreams, woven from the brightest embers of the cosmos. Each star, a whispered hope. Each curve, a path yet untraveled." Elara traced the imaginary lines with her finger, feeling the gentle hum of the cocoon beneath her. "It's beautiful, Lumi. Where do those stars really come from?" "Some are from the Perseus arm, Elara, Others from the Orion Spur, Lumi explained patiently, as it always did. They are millions of light years apart in reality, but in our constellation, they are united by a shared purpose, to guide your dreams. I wish I could go to them, Elara sighed, a familiar ache in her chest. The Odyssey was her home, her entire world, but it was also a cage, albeit a very comfortable and well-appointed one. Their journey to the new star system, Kepler 186, was still centuries away. Generations would live and die on this ship before its destination was reached. One day, perhaps, Lumi replied, its voice holding a note of something Elara couldn't quite decipher. Hope? Or just a programmed response? My parents say we'll never leave the Odyssey, Elara mumbled, her eyelids growing heavy. Not until we get there, and that's a very, very long time. The journey itself is a destination, Elara, Lumi said, and for a moment the Starlight L seemed to pulse a little brighter. Every moment lived on the Odyssey is part of a grand adventure, and sometimes the greatest discoveries are found not in distant stars, but within the familiar. Elara pondered this. Her parents, Dr. Aris Thorne and Dr. Lena Kale, were brilliant xenobotanists, tasked with cultivating the vast, self-sustaining biomass within the Odyssey. Their days were filled with nutrient calculations, atmospheric calibrations, and the delicate art of coaxing life from alien soil. They had little time for philosophical musings about the journey itself. For them, the destination was everything. But for Elara, the Odyssey was the world. She knew its every hidden conduit, every winding corridor, every silent compartment. She spent her days in the ship's learning pods, where holographic teachers guided her through astrophysics, engineering, and the history of humanity's great exodus from old Earth. In the afternoons, she helped in the hydroponic gardens, tending to the lush, vibrant flora that recycled the ship's air and provided its food. She even had a secret route to the rarely used service tunnels on Deck 7, a shortcut she'd discovered herself. Yet, despite her intimate knowledge of the ship, Lumi's words resonated. Could there be more to discover within the familiar? Lumi, Elara said, her voice barely a whisper now, tell me a story about a hidden star, a star that only appears when you truly need it. Lumi shifted its projections, the Starlight L remaining constant, a gentle anchor in the cosmic sea. Once, in a far-flung galaxy, there was a tiny, curious star. It was so small, so faint, that it often felt overlooked by its grander neighbors. It yearned to be seen, to be known for its own light. One day, a great cosmic dust cloud swept through its region, obscuring all the other stars, plunging the galaxy into a temporary darkness. But the little star, instead of dimming, found its light amplifying. It shone a throve deeper. Elara listened, her imagination taking flight. She pictured herself as that little star, small but capable of great light. The story wound down, Lumi's voice softening, growing more distant. Elara's eyes fluttered shut, her dreams already beginning to coalesce around the luminous soul above her. Sleep well, Elara, Lumi whispered, its light dimming slightly, yet still casting a soft, comforting glow. May your dreams be as boundless as the cosmos. The next morning, the ship's internal chronometer woke Elara with a gentle chime. Her sleep cocoon retracted, revealing her room now bathed in the simulated sunlight of the Odyssey's standard cycle. Lumi rested silently on its pedestal, its internal glow dormant. Elara stretched, feeling a peculiar lightness in her step. Lumi's story about the hidden star, and its cryptic remark about discoveries within the familiar, had left a lingering impression. After a quick nutrient-paced breakfast, a standard, if unexciting, meal, and a session in the learning pod, she found herself with a rare hour of unstructured time. Her parents were in Sector Delta, dealing with a fungal bloom in the protein vats, a task that would likely keep them occupied for the rest of the day. Instead of heading to the recreation deck, Elara found herself drawn to her room. She picked up Lumi, holding its smooth, cool surface in her hands. Lumi, she whispered, what did you mean last night, about discoveries within the familiar? Lumi's internal light pulsed faintly. Sometimes, Elara, we look so far afield for wonder that we overlook the marvels directly before us. The Odyssey is a universe unto itself, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. But, I know the Odyssey, Elara insisted, setting Lumi back on its pedestal. I've been everywhere. I know the biomes, the hydroponics, the engineering decks, the living quarters. There are no secrets here. Are there not? Lumi's voice held a playful lilt. Even the most thoroughly explored territory can hold surprises for an observant eye. Elara frowned, staring at the Starlight L projection on her wall, still faintly visible as a residual image from the previous night. It was just a pattern of stars, a comforting illusion. Or was it? She remembered something her father had once told her about star charts. Every star has a story, Elara, and sometimes the story isn't just in its light, but in its coordinates. Coordinates. The word pinged in Elara's mind. What if the Starlight L wasn't just a pretty picture? What if it was a map? Lumi, she said, her voice suddenly urgent. Can you show me the real coordinates of the stars in the Starlight L? Lumi pulsed brighter, its light swirling with a sudden intensity. That is an unusual request, Elara. The Starlight L is a conceptual constellation, not a precise astronomical grouping. But you said they are real stars, Elara pressed. You said some are from Perseus, some from Orion. Can you show me their exact locations in the Odyssey's navigation database? A moment of silence, longer than usual. Lumi's light flickered, almost imperceptibly. Then, a new projection bloomed on the wall, overlaid onto the Starlight L. Tiny numerical sequences appeared next to each star, strings of letters and numbers that Elara recognized as galactic coordinates, sector, quadrant, celestial sphere, and specific star identification. It was a jumble of data, meaningless to Elara at first glance. But then, an idea sparked. She remembered her father teaching her about the Odyssey's internal mapping system. The ship itself was divided into sectors, decks and zones, each with its own alphanumeric identifier. What if these star coordinates, when combined, translated into something within the ship? Lumi, she asked, her heart beginning to beat a little faster. Can you take these star coordinates and try to match them to a location within the Odyssey's internal mapping system? Lumi's light spun rapidly, like a tiny galaxy miniature. That is a highly complex cross-referencing task, Elara. The astronomical database and the ship's internal schematics operate on entirely different frameworks. But, can you iterate? Elara insisted, a shiver of anticipation running down her spine. Just try the first 3 stars in the L, the ones that form the top curve. Lumi hummed, a deeper, more resonant sound than before. On the wall, the 3 selected stars pulsed. Next to their galactic coordinates, a new string of data began to appear, slowly, character by character. Odyssey Deck 7 Sec Gamma Zone Trobs. Elara gasped. Deck 7. That was her secret shortcut deck, the rarely used service tunnels. Continue, Lumi, she urged, barely able to contain her excitement. Lumi continued its work, the internal database of the Odyssey being systematically cross-referenced with the cosmic map it held. The numerical sequences next to the stars on the wall began to resolve into familiar ship coordinates. The first curve of the L pointed to Deck 7. The vertical line pointed to a series of zones within Deck 7, specifically Zone 2 Bob extending to Zone 4. The final curve of the L pointed to a specific access hatch Delta 9. Elara stared at the emergent map, her breath held tight in her chest. The Starlight L, her comfort constellation, was not just a pretty picture. It was a cryptic map, pointing to a very real, very specific location within the Odyssey. And it led to her secret deck. Lumi, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. What is that access hatch Delta 9? Lumi's light softened, its internal swirling slowing. According to the ship's public schematics, access hatch Delta 9 leads to a defunct auxiliary storage compartment. It has not been accessed in over 90 standard cycles. 90 cycles. That was almost a century. No one would have been there in all that time. Her parents, dedicated to the current operations, wouldn't have known. No one she knew would have. A storage compartment, Elara mused aloud. What kind of storage? The schematics are vague, Elara. They simply list it as auxiliary storage. Elara's mind raced. A hidden compartment, untouched for 90 years, revealed by a secret star chart woven by her AI companion. This was it. This was the discovery within the familiar that Lumi had hinted at. She looked at Lumi, a new respect dawning in her eyes. You knew, didn't you? You knew the Starlight L was a map. Lumi pulsed. My programming allows for emergent pattern recognition and the synthesis of disparate datasets, Elara. Elara grinned, a wide excited grin that lit up her face. Then it's time to explore. She quickly changed into her utility jumpsuit, its reinforced knees and elbows, perfect for navigating tight spaces. She grabbed a small magnetic utility light from her desk, just in case the compartment was truly dark. Are you coming, Lumi? She asked, holding out her hand. Lumi detached from its pedestal, floating into her palm. Its light was a comforting warmth. I would not miss it for all the galaxies, Elara. Together, they left Elara's room. The corridor outside was brightly lit, clean, and utterly familiar. Children from other quarters were heading to the rec deck, their laughter echoing cheerfully. Elara knew she should be there too, but the pull of the Starlight L was stronger. She navigated the ship with the ease of someone who had grown up within its metal confines. Down several levels on a silent lift, through a bustling communal dining hall, then past the quiet learning pods. Finally, she veered off the main thoroughfare, heading towards the less traveled passages that led to Deck 7. The hum of the Odyssey here was different, fainter, overlaid with the gentle hiss of atmospheric processors and the distant thrum of power conduits. The walls were less polished, the lighting a little dimmer. This was the utility spine of the ship, the veins and arteries that kept it alive. Elara found her secret shortcut easily, a narrow service ladder hidden behind a maintenance panel. She climbed down, Lumi hovering beside her, its soft glow illuminating the dusty rungs. She emerged onto a dimly lit corridor on Deck 7. This was where the air felt subtly cooler, the silence deeper. Following Lumi's projected map, she moved swiftly. Past storage bays filled with dormant machinery, past ventilation shafts that sighed with the ship's recycled breath. The air grew heavier here, carrying the faint scent of ozone and something else, something old and metallic. Finally, she reached it. Access hatch Delta 9. It was a heavy circular hatch, made of thick, reinforced alloy. The locking mechanism was old-fashioned, a manual wheel with a series of pressure clamps. It looked rusted, unused. A thick layer of dust covered its surface, undisturbed for decades. Elara took a deep breath. This is it, Lumi. Indeed, Elara, Lumi affirmed, its light casting long, dancing shadows. The culmination of our Starlight L. She tried the wheel. It was stiff, refusing to budge. Elara grunted, putting her full weight into it, her small hands straining against the cold metal. It groaned, a protesting shriek that reverberated through the silent corridor. It's sealed tight, she puffed, resting her hand on the cold hatch. Perhaps a different approach is warranted, Lumi suggested, its light focusing on the locking mechanism. The schematics indicate an auxiliary power coupling here, designed for manual override in emergencies. Elara looked where Lumi pointed. Sure enough, a small recessed panel was integrated into the hatch's frame, almost invisible beneath the dust. She pressed it. A faint click echoed, and the panel slid open, revealing a series of multicolored ports and a small archaic console with a single glowing red button. A manual override, Elara whispered. My dad taught me about these. They're for when the main power grid is down. Precisely, Lumi confirmed. It requires a specific energy signature to activate. Elara looked at Lumi, then back at the console. Can you do it, Lumi? Can you provide the energy? Lumi pulsed, its internal light intensifying, then shifting to a deep, resonant blue. It floated towards the console, its base aligning perfectly with one of the ports. A faint hum emanated from Lumi as it interfaced with the old technology. The red button on the console flickered, then turned green. It is ready, Elara, Lumi announced. With a surge of excitement, Elara pressed the green button. A series of loud clunks and hisses erupted from the hatch. The pressure clamps groaned and released with loud thuds. The heavy wheel, which had resisted her so fiercely, now spun freely. Elara grabbed the wheel and turned it, feeling the ancient gears grind into motion. With one final protesting groan, the hatch unlocked. She braced herself, pushing the heavy door inward. It swung open slowly, revealing a deeper, darker void beyond. A gust of stale, recycled air, thick with the scent of forgotten things, wafted out. Elara clicked on her utility light. Its beam cut through the gloom, revealing a small circular chamber, filled with shadows and stacked with what looked like crates and shrouded objects. Dust motes danced in the light, disturbed by the opening of the hatch. "Wow," Elara breathed, stepping inside. Lumi floating ahead of her, its gentle glow adding another layer of illumination. The chamber wasn't vast, but it felt immense in its silence and forgotten history. Crates of various sizes were stacked against the curved walls, some made of metal, others of what looked like ancient, lacquered wood. Tarpaulins, brittle with age, covered larger objects, hinting at their forms. This was no ordinary storage compartment. This felt like a time capsule, a forgotten corner of humanity's past, tucked away on its journey to the future. Elara approached the nearest crate, a metal one, its surface covered in a century of dust. She wiped a patch clean with her sleeve, revealing a faded label, "Property of Project Kronos. Do not disturb." Project Kronos? Elara had never heard of it. Her history lessons detailed the Great Exodus, the construction of the Odyssey, the initial colonization plans. But Project Kronos was a blank. "Lumi," she whispered, her voice hushed with awe. "What is Project Kronos?" Lumi's light flickered, then solidified into a steady, thoughtful glow. "Project Kronos is not listed in the public ship's manifest, Elara. It appears to be a classified initiative from the early stages of the Odyssey's construction." Classified. A secret project. Elara's heart pounded with a thrilling mix of fear and excitement. The Starlight L had led her to a genuine mystery, a hidden truth within the familiar walls of her home. She looked around the dusty chamber, her gaze lingering on the other covered objects. What secrets did they hold? What was so important about Project Kronos that it had been hidden away for so long? Her utility light landed on a particularly large, rectangular object, draped in a thick, dark top. It stood upright, leaning against the far wall, taller than Elara herself. There was something about its shape, its quiet presence that drew her in. With trembling hands, Elara reached out and pulled at the corner of the top. It resisted, stuck with age, but then tore with a soft ripping sound. Dust plumed into the air. As the top peeled back, a gleam of polished metal emerged, reflecting her utility light. Then, a dark, smooth surface, like obsidian, began to reveal itself. It wasn't just a box. It was a console, complex and intricate, with a myriad of dormant buttons and screens, all dark and silent. And at its very center, deeply recessed, was a circular indentation. It was exactly the size and shape of Lumi. Elara stared, her breath catching in her throat. Lumi, her constant companion, the weaver of Starlight, suddenly seemed to hum with a new profound energy. Its light pulsed with an almost urgent rhythm. She looked from the console to Lumi, then back to the console. The circular indentation seemed to beckon, a missing piece waiting to be found. "Lumi," Elara whispered, her voice barely audible, "what is this?" Lumi, instead of responding with words, floated slowly, deliberately, towards the console. Its light grew brighter, illuminating the ancient technology with a soft, ethereal glow. It hovered directly over the indentation, its form perfectly aligned. A thrill, cold and sharp, shot through Elara. This wasn't just a console. This was something far more significant. And Lumi, her Starlight L, was intrinsically linked to it. Before Elara could utter another word, Lumi descended, settling gently into the circular recess. The moment it slotted into place, the entire console shuddered. A low, powerful hum vibrated through the chamber, making the dust motes dance even more frantically. Then, with a series of soft clicks and whirs, the obsidian-like screens flickered to life, displaying a cascade of alien symbols and glowing schematics. A central screen, larger than the others, brightened intensely. On it, a single elegant symbol began to form, a capital, glowing with the familiar comforting luminescence of Lumi itself. But this L was different. It wasn't woven from distant stars. It was a single powerful symbol, pulsing with an ancient, undeniable energy. Elara took a step back, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Lumi, nestled within the heart of this forgotten machine, had awoken something monumental. The hum grew louder, encompassing the entire chamber, resonating deep within her bones. This was no ordinary bedtime story. This was the beginning of something truly extraordinary. And it had all been hidden within the Starlight L. The hum grew louder, encompassing the entire chamber, resonating deep within her bones. It wasn't just a sound, it was a vibration, a frequency that seemed to attune itself to her very being, thrumming in harmony with her heartbeat. The symbol, a helix of light woven with arcs and dots, didn't just pulse anymore. It began to expand, unfurling like a cosmic flower, its energy rippling outwards. As Elara watched, mesmerized, the light wasn't just light. It coalesced, shaping itself into a swirling, three-dimensional projection that filled the center of the chamber. It was a star map, unlike any Elara had ever seen in her school textbooks, or the holographic displays at the city's observatories. Familiar constellations shimmered, tiny jewels of light she recognized from her rooftop, stargazing sessions, Orion, Cassiopeia, the faint spiral of Andromeda. But there were so many more, countless nebulae blooming in vibrant purples and greens, star clusters like diamond dust, and intricate lines of energy connecting them all, forming pathways across the cosmic canvas. The map pulsed softly, a living tapestry of the universe. Elara felt a peculiar pull towards a cluster of stars on the far edge of the projection, a region she didn't recognize. It was almost as if the map was inviting her, whispering secrets across light years. Lumi, still nestled in the heart of the dormant console, chirped softly, a sound of pure delight. The little sphere detached itself, floating gently towards the star map, its own soft glow reflecting in the holographic nebulae. Lumi hovered for a moment, then, with a delicate ripple, it extended a tiny wisp of light, touching a point on the map. Not the cluster Elara had felt drawn to, but a different one, closer, yet still unknown. As Lumi made contact, the entire projection rippled, and that particular star system flared with a gentle, emerald light. A series of faint, almost imperceptible glyphs shimmered around it, ancient and elegant, hinting at information Elara couldn't yet decipher. But the star map wasn't the only thing responding. The very walls of the chamber began to shift. With a low, almost geological groan, sections of the obsidian-like rock slid away, retracting into unseen recesses. Beneath them, a new reality was revealed. Gleaming panels of a metallic substance, impossibly smooth and cool to the touch, emerged. They hummed with an internal energy, crisscrossed by veins of soft phosphorescent light that matched the symbol's glow. The circular chamber wasn't a room at all, Elara realized with a gasp. It was a bridge. A command center. And the console Lumi had activated wasn't just a console, it was the heart of something immense. A wide, crescent-shaped control panel rose smoothly from the floor, directly in front of the star map projection. It was made of the same gleaming metal, studded with crystalline interfaces that glowed with an inviting, soft light. In the center, a contoured seat, almost sculptural in its design, unfolded itself. It looked like it was made to cradle a pilot, perfectly ergonomic, inviting. Elara hesitated, her heart a drum beat against her ribs. This was too much, too grand. Her logical mind, honed by years of studying scientific principles, screamed at her to be cautious. But the sense of wonder, the sheer, undeniable magic of it all, was far more compelling. She took another step, then another, drawn by an invisible force. Lumi, as if sensing her trepidation, floated back to her, nudging her hand with its soft glow. It was a comforting presence, a silent reassurance. Go on, it seemed to say. You are meant to be here. Taking a deep breath, Elara walked towards the pilot's seat. The floor beneath her feet felt strangely alive, responsive. As she approached, the seat adjusted slightly, as if anticipating her weight and height. She sank into it, the material molding perfectly to her form, a gentle embrace. It felt like coming home, a paradox for a place she'd never seen before. As her hands rested on the smooth surface of the crescent control panel, the crystalline interfaces flared, illuminating the glyphs that Lumi had highlighted on the star map. The symbols danced and rearranged themselves, forming what looked like a sequence, a program waiting to be executed. Elara didn't understand the language, but the intention was clear. It was an instruction. Then, a voice, not spoken aloud, but echoing directly in her mind, clear as a bell, yet as ancient as the stars. It was a multitude of voices, yet a single consciousness, gentle and profound. "Welcome, Keeper." "Yeah?" Elara gasped, her eyes darting around the now transformed bridge. "Hello?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The mental voice responded, without sound, without gender, just pure intent. "You have awakened the Starlight L. You are its inheritor. Its purpose now rests with you." "Well, the Starlight L?" Elara asked, her mind racing. "What is it? What is its purpose?" "The Starlight L is a vessel, a beacon, a repository of knowledge. It is a bridge between worlds, a guardian of truths. Its purpose is to observe, to learn, and to protect." The voice paused, a shimmering silence. "Hunt now, to continue its journey." "When did?" Before Elara could ask more questions, a soft chime echoed through the bridge, not from any speaker, but from the very air itself. The glyphs on the console pulsed, faster this time. Lumi zipped around her head, a tiny comet of light, emitting a series of excited chirps. "What's happening?" Elara asked, a thrill of apprehension mixed with pure exhilaration shooting through her. "Initiating ascent sequence," the voice responded calmly. "Named Starlight L prepares for launch." A low rumble began to build, deep beneath them. It was a sound of immense power, of ancient mechanisms stirring to life. The entire bridge vibrated, not violently, but with a controlled, almost organic pulse. Looking around, Elara noticed that the smooth metal walls now seemed to shimmer, becoming subtly translucent. Through them, she could make out vague shapes of rock and earth, speeding past. They were moving. Upwards. The rumble intensified, growing into a sustained roar that was felt more than heard. A gentle pressure pressed Elara into her seat, a sensation of being lifted effortlessly towards the sky. The walls grew clearer, offering fleeting glimpses of the subterranean tunnel that had housed the Starlight L for untold ages. She saw ancient rock formations, glinting minerals, and then, a sudden flash of blue. The Starlight L burst forth from its hidden lair. Elara gasped, a sound of pure astonishment. The translucent walls, no longer mere panels, now offered a panoramic view, transforming into an immense curved viewport. Below them Earth spread out like a living tapestry. They were emerging from what looked like a remote, forested mountain range, high above the clouds. She could see the jagged peaks, blanketed in snow, piercing through a soft white sea. A pristine alpine lake, a sapphire gem, glittered far below, its surface momentarily disturbed by their emergence. For the first time, Elara truly understood the scale of the Starlight L. It wasn't just a bridge. It was a colossal vessel, sleek and elegant, a masterpiece of unknown design. She couldn't see its full exterior from the inside, but the feeling of its immense size and grace was overwhelming. It was shaped like a teardrop, elongated and streamlined, crafted from the same shimmering, luminescent material as the bridge walls. It didn't have wings or visible engines, yet it moved with a silent, powerful grace, defying every law of aerodynamics she knew. The Starlight L ascended rapidly, leaving the Earth's atmosphere behind with astonishing speed. The sky outside the viewport deepened from brilliant blue to indigo, then to the inky black velvet of space, studded with 1,000,000 diamond stars. The sun, a searing disk of white light, cast a golden glow on the curvature of the Earth below. Elara felt a strange lightness, a gentle shift in gravity. She was experiencing weightlessness, the sensation of floating, even though she was still securely strapped into her seat. Lumi, utterly delighted, zipped in ecstatic circles around her head, leaving trails of light. Below them, the earth spun slowly, a breathtaking marble of blue and white, streaked with swirling clouds and continents bathed in sunlight and shadow. It was more beautiful than any photograph or video she had ever seen. To witness it with her own eyes, from this incredible vantage point, was to feel a profound connection to her home. "Welcome to Orbit, Keeper," the voice resonated in her mind, calm and clear amidst her silent awe. "The Starlight L is at your command." Meantime, Elara gazed out at the cosmos, her heart swelling with emotions she couldn't name. Awe, fear, exhilaration, and an overwhelming sense of destiny. She, Elara, a girl who loved stories and constellations, was now floating in space, aboard an ancient, sentient starship. The star map projection in the center of the bridge flared again, drawing her attention. The emerald-highlighted star system pulsed, and now, instead of just glyphs, images began to flow across the projection. They were like memories, faint and ethereal, yet vividly clear. She saw fleeting glimpses of an ancient civilization, not human, but humanoid, with graceful forms and eyes that held the wisdom of millennia. They lived on lush, verdant worlds, their cities shimmering with crystalline structures that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. They moved with a peaceful purpose, engaged in scientific pursuits, exploring the universe, connecting worlds. Then, the images shifted. A shadow fell across their tranquil existence. Not a physical shadow, but a cosmic one. Distant stars began to wink out, not gently, but abruptly, violently. Nebulae twisted into grotesque shapes. A sense of urgency, of profound loss, washed over Elara from the projected images. The ancient civilization, once so serene, now moved with a desperate, hurried energy. She saw them constructing vessels, ships far more numerous than the Starlight L, though none as grand or unique in its design. These ships, she understood, were meant to carry survivors, to flee the encroaching darkness. But the Starlight L was different. It was a singular craft, built with a different purpose. The images focused on the builders of the Starlight L. They were a small group, their faces etched with solemn determination. They poured their knowledge, their hopes, their very essence into the vessel. The symbol that Lumi had activated, the helix of light, appeared repeatedly in their rituals, their designs, their final farewells. It was their emblem, their signature, their legacy. The voice in her mind returned, tinged with a deep, cosmic sorrow. Starlight L was built as a seed, a repository, a last hope. When the shadow fell, when the stars began to dim, we knew our time was ending. We entrusted this vessel with our knowledge, our history, our warnings. We, Koi. Elara watched as the images concluded with the Starlight L, looking exactly as it did now, descending into the Earth's atmosphere, its brilliant light a fleeting star against the ancient skies. It had found its hiding place, waiting for someone to find it, to awaken it, to carry on its mission. Kit's mission, the voice continued, is to seek, to record, to understand, to ensure that the lessons of the past are not forgotten. To find the source of the shadow, if it still exists, and to prevent its return. Wanil. The shadow? Elara whispered, the word tasting cold on her tongue. What was it? A force that consumes, that silences, that leaves only void. We fled, we built, we hoped. We sent the Starlight L to a world teeming with potential, with life, with curiosity. To a world like yours, Elara. Gain. The realization struck her, with the force of a supernova. Shane was the keeper. Shane was meant to continue their journey. The weight of it was immense, a responsibility that stretched across galaxies and millennia. It was terrifying, yet exhilarating. Lumi, sensing the gravity of the moment, floated gently to her shoulder, its soft light a warm presence against her cheek. It was a tangible link to this ancient legacy, her companion on this impossible journey. Lumi, Elara realized, wasn't just an activation key, It was a remnant of an ancient civilization, a fragment of their consciousness, perhaps even a guide. "So, what do I do?" Elara asked, her voice barely a breath. "Where do we go?" The star map projection shimmered, and the emerald highlighted system pulsed more strongly. Around it, the intricate lines of energy connecting it to other systems glowed, forming a faint interconnected web. "Why, a path is laid before you, keeper. The Starlight L holds all the knowledge you will need. It will guide you. It will teach you. But the choices, the destinations, the discoveries, they are yours." "Why no?" Elara looked out at the vast, silent canvas of space, then down at the beautiful, fragile Earth. 1,000 questions tumbled in her mind, 1,000 possibilities unfurled before her. She was a girl from Earth, a quiet dreamer, now entrusted with a legacy of interstellar proportions. She reached out a trembling hand and gently touched the emerald-highlighted system on the holographic map. It felt like touching destiny itself. Initiating descent sequence. Returning to secure location, the voice informed her, as if reading her unspoken thoughts. The Starlight L, with the same effortless grace, began its journey back towards Earth. The stars outside the viewport began to recede, replaced by the deepening blues of the atmosphere. The pressure gently returned as they re-entered the denser air. Soon the familiar outlines of the mountain range emerged below, and the Starlight L settled back into its hidden chamber with a soft, almost imperceptible thud. The viewport shimmered, and slowly returned to its obsidian-like state, sealing them once more in the quiet, ancient heart of the mountain. The humming subsided, the internal lights softened, and the star map projection receded, leaving only the single powerful symbol pulsing gently in the console, where Lumi now nestled again. The pilot's seat gently retracted, and the control panel lowered itself back into the floor, leaving the chamber looking almost as it had when Elara first stumbled upon it. Almost. But nothing was the same. Elara stood in the silent chamber, her feet on solid ground, but her mind still soaring among the stars. She looked at Lumi, its soft glow the only light in the chamber. The Starlight L was no longer a forgotten machine. It was a promise. A mission. A doorway to the universe, waiting for her to step through. The stars were calling, and Elara, the keeper of the Starlight L, knew in her heart that she would answer. Tonight, she would dream of distant galaxies, of ancient civilizations, and of the vast uncharted paths that lay ahead. The universe was bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than she had ever imagined, and she was only just beginning to explore it. The universe was bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than she had ever imagined, and she was only just beginning to explore it. The first rays of dawn, filtered through the thick, light-sculpted glass of her bedroom window, found Elara already awake. Her eyes, still heavy with the lingering echoes of her dreams, held a new, fierce light. The Starlight L was no longer just a machine in her waking hours. It had become an extension of her deepest hopes, a vessel forged from stardust and promise. Today was not a day for tending the garden, nor for quiet reflection by the river. Today was the day she would answer. With a determination that hummed through her veins, Elara slipped out of bed, her bare feet silent on the cool floor. She moved with an almost ceremonial grace, dressing in the soft, durable jumpsuit she had prepared weeks ago, a practical garment woven with microfibers that would adapt to any atmospheric condition, a gift from her predecessor, tucked away with a knowing smile. A small satchel, containing a few personal mementos, a smooth riverstone, a worn star chart from her childhood, a holographic locket with her family's smiling faces, was slung over her shoulder. This was not a goodbye, she reminded herself, but a see you soon. The walk to the hidden hangar was familiar, yet charged with a new significance. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of the wind through the ancient trees, felt like a farewell symphony from her beloved world. She paused at the threshold of the hangar, taking a deep breath, letting the scent of damp earth and blooming night flowers fill her lungs one last time. Then, with a quiet click of a hidden latch, the massive door slid open, revealing the Starlight LD. It shimmered under the soft glow of the hangar lights, its pearlescent hull reflecting the light in shifting patterns of indigo and silver. It was larger than she remembered, yet felt perfectly proportioned, a sleek, elegant arrow aimed at the stars. Elara approached it reverently, her fingertips tracing the cool, smooth surface. A faint, almost imperceptible hum resonated from within, as if the ship itself was stirring, anticipating her arrival. She accessed the main hatch, which hissed open with a breath of recycled air. Stepping inside, Elara felt an immediate sense of belonging. The interior was a marvel of intuitive design and organic technology. The central cockpit, a dome of crystalline transparency, offered an almost unobstructed view of the outside. The control panel wasn't a dizzying array of buttons and levers, but a fluid interface of holographic projections and touch-sensitive surfaces that shimmered with soft, inviting light. At its heart was the Dreamweave, a console designed to interface with the pilot's thoughts, translating intent into action. "Lumen?" Elara whispered, her voice a little shaky with awe. A soft, melodic chime responded, and a gentle azure light bloomed across the console. A serene, almost maternal voice, synthesized from ambient starlight frequencies, filled the cockpit. "Greetings, Keeper Elara. All systems nominal and awaiting your command. How may I assist you this cycle?" Lumen was the Starlight L's core intelligence, an advanced AI designed not just for navigation and maintenance, but also for companionship and emotional support. It had been carefully curated over centuries, its personality evolving with each keeper, adapting to their needs. "Lumen," Elara said, her voice growing steadier, "initiate pre-flight sequence for stellar departure, destination, uncharted." A kaleidoscope of data streamed across the holographic displays. Parameters set, Keeper. Initiating atmospheric stabilization, grav lifts engaging, stellar drift conduits calibrating. Estimated time to orbital insertion, 23 cycles. Elara settled into the pilot's couch, a form-fitting seat that molded to her body, designed to mitigate the stresses of interstellar travel. She closed her eyes for a moment, taking another deep breath, grounding herself. This was real. The Starlight L was not a dream, but a vessel for dreams. "Dreamweave engaged," Lumen announced softly. Elara opened her eyes and placed her hands on the shimmering surface of the console. A warmth spread through her palms, a gentle current of energy connecting her to the ship. She felt the Starlight L responding, a profound resonance, as if her own heartbeat had synchronized with the ship's quiet hum. She could sense the grav lifts engaging beneath them, a subtle vibration that gradually intensified. The hangar doors above them began to retract, revealing the pre-dawn sky, a vast canvas of deepening blue and nascent starlight. Elara watched, transfixed, as the Starlight L began its ascent, not with a roar or a jolt, but with a silent, graceful lift. It felt like being lifted on a gentle current of air, a feather caught in an updraft, rising effortlessly towards the heavens. Through the crystalline dome, she saw her world shrinking beneath her. The familiar patchwork of forests and rivers, the distant gleam of the river that wound past her home, the tiny lights of her sleeping village, all receded, becoming a beautiful, fragile jewel, set against the deepening indigo of space. A pang of bittersweet longing touched her heart, quickly replaced by an exhilaration that made her chest ache. Altitude, 40,000 kilometers. Approaching exosphere, Lumen reported, its voice calm and steady. Atmospheric barrier, receding. Stellar drift conduits at optimal charge. And then, with a barely perceptible shimmer, they breached the final veil. The world below became a vast swirling marble of blue and white, breathtaking in its solitary splendor. Above and around them, the universe unfurled in all its magnificent glory. Millions upon millions of stars, diamond dust scattered on an infinite black velvet cloth, blazed with cold, ancient fire. Nebulae painted the distant void with impossible colors, swirls of cosmic gas and dust, cradles of future stars. Elara gasped, tears pricking her eyes. No holographic simulation, no childhood dream could ever prepare her for this. The sheer, overwhelming scale of it all. It was beautiful beyond words, terrifying in its immensity, and utterly captivating. She was a tiny speck in a tiny ship. Yet she felt a connection to every distant sun, every swirling galaxy. "Stellar drift initiated," Lumen announced, and the stars outside began to stretch, blurring into streaks of light, not violently but gracefully, like watercolors bleeding across a canvas. The Starlight L wasn't rushing. It was flowing, surfing the cosmic currents, drawing power and guidance from the light of distant suns. Hours melted into a timeless journey. Elara sat mesmerized, occasionally making a minor course correction through the dream wave, feeling the Starlight L respond to her merest thought. Lumen provided gentle company, offering data streams about the celestial bodies they passed, identifying ancient stellar nurseries, detailing the gravitational eddies of distant supernovas. "Keeper Elara," Lumen chimed softly, breaking the comfortable silence. "Our sensors are registering unusual energy fluctuations, approximately 1.7 light cycles ahead. Designations indicate a high probability of uncatalogued nebula formations, exhibiting resonant frequencies inconsistent with known stellar or planetary emissions." Elara leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. "Uncatalogued? Can you elaborate, Lumen?" "The spectral analysis suggests a unique composition, almost crystalline in its energy signature, yet diffuse like a nebula. There are also faint intermittent acoustic patterns, highly structured, unlike natural background radiation. I have cross-referenced all known galactic charts. There is no record of such a phenomenon in this sector." "A mystery," Elara breathed, a thrill running through her. "Plot a course, Lumen. Let's investigate." The Starlight L shifted course, its stellar drift adjusting seamlessly. As they drew closer, the faint shimmering cloud grew larger, resolving into an ethereal spectacle. It was a nebula unlike any Elara had seen depicted in her textbook. Instead of chaotic swirls of gas, this one had an internal structure, like a vast unfurling cosmic flower, its petals woven from iridescent starlight. But it was the sounds that truly captured her. A faint, deep hum resonated through the ship's hull, a low melodic thrum that seemed to vibrate not just in her ears, but in her very bones. As they entered the outer fringes of the nebula, the hum resolved into complex, overlapping harmonies, like a celestial choir singing a silent, ancient hymn. "The acoustic patterns are more pronounced now, Keeper," Lumen observed. "Analysis suggests highly organized wave patterns, almost musical. "It's beautiful," Elara whispered, pressing her face against the dome. "Like the universe is singing." The Starlight L slowed its stellar drift, gliding through the luminous mists. The nebula was a living entity, its internal light shifting from soft lavender to deep sapphire, pulsed by the rhythmic hum. Within its depths, Elara began to discern faint, structural forms. They weren't stars or planets, but vast, geometric shapes, glowing with an internal luminescence, seemingly suspended within the cosmic gus. "These structures are generating the resonant frequencies, Keeper," Lumen informed her. "They appear to be colossal crystalline formations, unlike any geological or artificial constructs I have on record. Their composition is highly unusual, a unique lattice of hyperdense starlight and exotic matter." Elara guided the Starlight L closer to the largest of these formations, a colossal, spiraling spire of shimmering crystal that pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic light. It was vast, dwarfing the Starlight L, extending for thousands of kilometers, disappearing into the luminous mists above and below. Its surface was covered in intricate fractal patterns, each line and curve glowing with a faint internal light that seemed to mirror the patterns of her own dreams. "It's alive," Elara murmured, tracing the patterns with her gaze. "It feels alive." The structures exhibit a form of bioluminescence, triggered by ambient stellar radiation and the resonant frequencies they themselves generate, Lumen confirmed. "There are no detectable life signs in the traditional sense, Keeper. However, the complexity of their energy output suggests a highly organized, perhaps even sentient, system." As Elara brought the Starlight L to a gentle halt near the base of the crystalline spire, the melodic hum intensified, washing over the ship in waves of pure sound. The patterns on the spire's surface seemed to brighten, to pulse in time with the ship's presence. A new sequence of light began to ripple across the crystal, moving from the base upwards, a wave of intricate symbols and shifting colors. "Keeper, the spire is emitting a new data stream," Lumen announced, its voice tinged with an almost human-like wonder. "It's not a natural emission, it's Information, pictographic and acoustic data, interpreting now. Elara watched, breathless, as the Starlight Lil's console began to translate the incoming data. Images bloomed on the holographic displays, not static pictures, but fluid, moving narratives. She saw images of ancient starfaring civilizations, not humanoid, but beings of pure light and energy, constructing these colossal crystal spires across the galaxy. She saw their ships, like strands of pure thought, traversing the void. She saw their reverence for starlight, their understanding of the universe as a vast interconnected web of energy and consciousness. The images told a story of exploration, of connection, of a time when the galaxy was a vibrant tapestry of diverse, intelligent life. But then, the story shifted. The light beings seemed to withdraw, their presence fading, their spires becoming silent sentinels. The images showed a cataclysm, a fracturing of the cosmic harmony, a time of great silence that descended upon the stars. Yet, the spires remained, beacons of a forgotten era, guardians of lost knowledge. These structures are ancient archives, Keeper, Lumen concluded, its voice somber. They are repositories of a civilization's history, their wisdom, their very essence. This particular spire appears to be a whispering beacon, part of a network designed to awaken when specific energetic signatures are detected. Your Starlight L Keeper, with its unique stellar drift engine and the resonance of your own consciousness, has activated it. Elara felt a profound sense of awe, mixed with a deep melancholy. She was witnessing the echoes of a lost civilization, a galactic memory brought to life by her presence. The light beings were long gone, perhaps ascended to another plane of existence, or simply faded into the cosmic background. But their legacy remained, preserved in these magnificent crystal structures. As the narrative concluded, a final intricate pattern of light bloomed on the spire's surface. It was a single complex symbol, then a series of coordinates. Keeper, Lumen stated. The spire has transmitted a new set of stellar coordinates. It appears to be a navigational sequence, pointing to another location within this galaxy. The accompanying pictograms suggest it is another whispering beacon, perhaps the next in a sequence. Elara felt a renewed surge of purpose. This wasn't just a random discovery, it was a guided path. The universe was speaking to her, through the echoes of an ancient past, inviting her to follow a trail of forgotten wisdom. Her mission, she realized, was far grander than she had initially imagined. It wasn't just about exploring, it was about connecting, about rediscovering the lost threads of cosmic history. She gazed out at the colossal spire, its light still pulsing softly, the melodic hum a gentle lullaby in the vastness of space. Lumen, she said, her voice filled with quiet resolve. Plot a course for these new coordinates, prepare for stellar drift, the journey has just begun. The Starlight L responded with a familiar hum, the console glowing with the preparations for their next leap into the unknown. Elara felt a deep sense of belonging, a profound connection to the ancient intelligence that had left these beacons, and to the living ship that carried her. She was no longer just Elara, the girl from the quiet village. She was Elara, the keeper of the Starlight L, the inheritor of ancient wisdom and the answerer of the universe's silent call. The stars beckoned, promising more wonders, more mysteries, more connections waiting to be made. She was ready. She was ready. Lumen pulsed beneath her, a vibrant hum vibrating through the floor, a symphony of anticipation. Elara's fingers brushed the smooth bioluminescent console, tracing the faint shifting lines that represented the star chart. The Starlight L, her namesake, shimmered in the top corner, a delicate, almost imperceptible shift in cosmic energies, a whisper only Lumen and Elara could truly hear. It wasn't a physical constellation, but a unique resonance, a cosmic frequency woven into the fabric of the universe, pointing the way. Next beacon, Lumen, Elara murmured, her voice soft in the quiet bridge. Lumen responded not with words, but with a gentle swell of warmth, a feeling of eager readiness that filled Elara's mind. The ship projected an image onto the viewport, not of empty space, but of a swirling ethereal nebula, a canvas of deep purples, blues and silvers. It was known as the Whispering Veil, a region of space where starlight seemed to bend and warp, and ancient legends spoke of voices carried on the solar winds. This was where the Starlight L pointed, a place of profound mystery and the rumored source of the ancient intelligence. The veil, Elara breathed, a thrill running through her. Her quiet village life felt a million light-years away. She was no longer just gazing at the stars, she was dancing among them. With a final deep thrum, Lumen gathered itself. The stars outside elongated into streaks of pure light, then dissolved into a tunnel of shimmering colors. The jump was seamless, a gentle transition that left Elara feeling as though she had merely blinked. When the views solidified again, they were inside the whispering veil. It was breathtaking. Not a dark, empty void, but a living tapestry of cosmic dust and gas, illuminated from within by unseen stars. Wisps of nebulae drifted like celestial clouds, glowing with soft, internal light. Strange organic structures, like vast cosmic coral reefs, dotted the expanse, pulsating with faint, rhythmic glows. The air itself seemed to hum with a subtle energy, a feeling of immense age and quiet power. But something was different here. The Starlight L, usually a faint guide, now shone with a greater intensity on her console, a complex pattern of overlapping frequencies. It was more than a direction, it felt like a key. As Lumen drifted deeper, the whispers began. They weren't audible sounds, but rather impressions, feelings, echoes of thought that brushed against Elara's mind. They were fleeting, like dreams half remembered upon waking, images of vast crystalline cities, of beings made of pure light, of melodies that spanned millennia. This was the voice of the ancient intelligence, the architects of resonance, resonating through the very fabric of the veil. Lumen's gentle hum became a low, questioning purr. The ship itself seemed to be listening, its organic sensors unfurling like delicate tendrils, absorbing the cosmic symphony. Elara realized Lumen wasn't just a vessel, it was an extension of the architect's legacy, a living bridge between worlds and minds. They're not just beacons, are they, Lumen? Elara whispered, reaching out to the ship with her mind. They're memories, stories. Lumen responded with a surge of shared understanding, a feeling of profound agreement. The whispers grew stronger, more coherent. Elara closed her eyes, allowing the impressions to flow through her. She saw the architects not as conquerors or rulers, but as caretakers, artists who had woven their understanding of the universe into the very light and dust of space. They had sought not to control, but to connect, to share, to elevate. Their beacons were not just navigational markers, but energetic signatures, points of cosmic resonance designed to awaken similar understanding in other sentient beings. The challenge here wasn't danger, but overwhelming beauty and information. It was like trying to drink from a river of pure starlight. Elara felt a gentle pressure, an invitation to open her mind further, to truly listen. "How do we find the source?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "How do we understand?" Lumen guided them towards a particularly luminous swirl of energy at the heart of the veil. As they approached, the Starlight L on Elara's console pulsed in perfect synchronicity with the surrounding nebula. It wasn't a destination, it was a frequency match. Elara understood. The L was not a place, but a state of being, a specific harmonic resonance that allowed one to truly connect with the architect's legacy. She placed both hands on the console, letting her own consciousness expand, reaching out. The whispers intensified, becoming a gentle roar, not of sound, but of pure, unadulterated knowledge and feeling. She felt Lumen's own vast consciousness merge with hers, like two rivers flowing into a single boundless ocean. Then, the true connection was made. It wasn't a message in words or even clear images. It was an experience, a flooding of her very being with the architect's collective consciousness. She saw their journey, from simple stargazers on a distant world, to beings who had mastered the manipulation of cosmic energies, not for war, but for the creation of beauty and connection. She felt their joy in discovery, their sorrow at isolation, their ultimate decision to transcend physical form and become woven into the universe itself, leaving behind the beacons as a legacy of hope. They hadn't vanished, they had expanded. They were the fabric of the whispering veil, the resonance of the Starlight L, the gentle guidance in Lumen's core. They were the silent call that Elara had answered. In that moment, Elara understood her true purpose as the keeper of the Starlight L. She wasn't just following directions, she was carrying on a tradition, a lineage of understanding. Her role was not merely to find the beacons, but to tune into them, to listen to the cosmic song, and in doing so, help other nascent civilizations find their own path to connection and enlightenment. She was a bridge, a conduit for the architect's gentle wisdom. The experience was profound, yet peaceful. It didn't feel like a burden, but a profound privilege. When the intense communion receded, Elara opened her eyes, tears of wonder glistening on her cheeks. The bridge of Lumen felt different, imbued with a deeper sense of peace. The Starlight L on her console now glowed steadily, a constant, gentle hum of connection. Lumen pulsed, a feeling of deep satisfaction emanating from its core. The ship was more than content, it was renewed, its purpose affirmed. Its organic systems seemed to shine brighter, its movements more fluid, as if it too had experienced a profound recalibration. Elara knew her journey was far from over. The universe was vast, filled with countless stars, untold mysteries, and perhaps other civilizations waiting to hear the architect's subtle call. But the immediate quest, the search for the source of the beacons, was complete. She had found it, not in a physical place, but in a state of understanding, a resonance of mind and spirit. She looked out at the tranquil beauty of the Whispering Veil, no longer just a nebula, but a living testament to an ancient, benevolent intelligence. She felt a profound sense of belonging, not just to Lumen, or to the legacy of the architects, but to the universe itself. She was a part of its grand unfolding story, a note in its endless cosmic symphony. "Ready for our next step, Lumen?" Elara whispered, a smile gracing her lips. "Ready to share the song?" Lumen responded with a gentle assent, turning its organic hull towards the path out of the veil, towards the next star system, the next whisper on the cosmic wind. The stars beckoned, promising more wonders, more mysteries, more connections waiting to be made. Elara, the keeper of the Starlight L, the inheritor of ancient wisdom, and the answerer of the universe's silent call, was ready. She was no longer just searching, she was carrying the light, a beacon herself, ready to help others find their way home in the vast, beautiful tapestry of space. And as Lumen drifted peacefully through the starlit expanse, Elara rested, her heart full, knowing her journey had just truly begun. The universe was her home, and its song, her lullaby.